Today we're going to be using a few props for some seated forward folds. So a chair can be just a normal folding chair or one of these chairs specifically for yoga with the missing back. Doesn't matter too much, just needs to be like a steady chair that you can kind of push and pull into, and it needs to have sort of this crossbar along the back legs. Other than that, whatever chair will work. A blanket and a bolster might also be useful. And if you don't have a bolster, or you can use fold-up towels, or should be able to find most of the stuff around your house. So we're going to take our chair toward one edge of the mat, facing in, and then we're going to take our bolster or our folded blanket, depending on what's easier for us to find a tall spine with. So general rule of thumb is the more height underneath your hips, the easier it is for you to sit with a tall spine. So if you'll see, if I take out all the lifts and I just kind of sit there, tendency is kind of to dump down a little, or I have to like engage my navel to really find a tall upright spine. And when we're folding forward, what we're doing first is lengthening up, and then we're trying to keep that length as we fold forward. We're definitely not just sort of like curling into a ball and dumping forward. So if it helps you to find length in the spine, and it does for me, you can take a folded blanket or your bolster, slide it underneath the hips, and then you'll find that as you get the hips up level with the knees or a little higher than the knees, it's easier to keep a tall spine. So take the appropriate amount of lift underneath you. Good. And we're going to start with Janu Sirsasana. So we call this head to knee pose, and the good news is that's what the fucking pose is called, whether or not your head is on your knee or like a mile away from your knee. So with head to knee pose, we're going to start by extending our right leg forward and bending our left knee and bringing the foot to the inside of the right thigh. Good. Now we want to rotate our torso slightly, and you can imagine trying to bring your sternum in line with the toes on your extended leg. And then we're going to take our chair and we're going to slide it in towards us until that back bar along the back legs touches the mound of our extended leg. So really important that it's the mound and not the arch. The mound, sort of big, muscular, able to take a lot of pressure. The arch, generally a little weaker and can collapse. So we want to be pressing the mound of the chair into that bar. And we're going to hold on to the front legs of the chair. We'll start off just low, kind of toward the bottom, right? So rotate the torso slightly, sternum in line with the toes. And here, think about your hips and your sits bones pressing down into the earth. So down and back. And then we're going to use the chair, and we're going to use our foot along that back bar to push and pull. So we're pushing into the foot, we're pulling into our hands, and we're using that to roll the shoulders back and lengthen the spine up and away from the hips. So if you do this and you already feel just like this huge crazy sensation through the back of your right leg, that might be your posture. Important to note here, if you are very, very flexible, you might accidentally hyperextend your right knee. If that's the case, teeny tiny micro bend. Anyway, we're pushing into the right foot, we're pulling with the right hands, and if you're able to go a little deeper, I want you to start by walking your hands up the chair. And as you do so, keep pulling the shoulders back. Imagine the sternum lifting up. So we're using the chair to lengthen as much as we can. Keep trying to draw the shoulders back, pull the belly in. And if there you feel a lot of sensation, you're going to stay there. Otherwise, from here, keep the length in the spine as you start to hinge forward. And from there, you can start to walk your hands down, but don't lose the length in the spine. Keep the shoulders back. If accessible, you can reach underneath the chair for those back legs. And keep folding at the hips. Slight tuck in the chin lengthens the back of the neck. Maybe the forehead comes to the seat of the chair. Maybe the forehead comes down to the knee. Remember, it's head to knee pose no matter where the head or knee are. Take a few breaths. Good. We're going to walk ourselves back up. Good. Second side, same as the first. This time, left leg's going to extend long. Right foot's going to draw to the inside of the left heel. Torso rotates slightly, sternum in line with the toes. Good. Again, careful not to hyperextend the left knee. Teeny tiny micro bend if you need. And then mound of the foot to that bottom back bar. Hands just to the front legs. Rotate the torso. Pull the sternum up. Pull the shoulder blades back. And then, if accessible, keep walking the hands up. Imagine trying to pull the sternum away from the hips. Lengthen the spine as much as you can. Keep the shoulders back. And then we'll start to hinge. Keep the length in the spine. Don't lose a millimeter. As you hinge forward, bring your hands where they want to go. Maybe under the seat to the back bar. Forehead can come to the seat, toward the knee, but try to avoid hunching or dumping into the back. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Take a few breaths. Good. We're going to walk ourselves back up. Good. And we'll take one more seated forward fold. This time, both legs are going to extend out long. And the starting posture, we call it Dandasana, staff pose. And it's kind of a good spot to see if you have enough lift underneath the hips. So if you're sitting here with both legs out in front of you and you're kind of just hunching forward, or you have to really, really strain in the navel to find a tall spine. And just to give you an idea of what the tall spine feels like, take just a second, press your fingertips down by your sides, roll your shoulder blades back, and pull your belly in. So that's the type of spine we're talking about. Now, find the appropriate amount of lifts so that you can find a relatively tall spine without a ton of abdominal effort. Good. Then we're going to slide the chair forward. Bring the mounds of both feet to that back bottom bar. And we're going to just pull with the hands as we push into the mounds of the feet to roll the shoulders back, lift the sternum, extend the sides of the trunk. Then we can walk the hands up, lengthen the sides of the trunk away from the hips. Keep grounding the hips down and back. And then hinge and fold as you walk the hands down where they want to go. But keep the shoulders back. Much more important here that you keep the spine lengthened than how far forward you're able to fold. Same as before, careful to not hyperextend the knees. Slight bend if you need. Scoop in the belly. Take a few breaths. Good. And we'll release. seated forward folds with chairs class.